Please welcome Randal Pinkett.
To Dean Coutinho, my friend and mentor, Dean Rosen, Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor Sandra Tomlinson Clark, Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor Jeffrey Robinson, faculty, administrators, alumni. I'm also joined here today by three of my Rutgers classmates. Again, Dr. Robinson, Lawrence Hibbert, Dallas Grundy, others, Stacy Gatlin, my track and field teammate, Troy Miles, to guests, family, friends, and most importantly, to the proud graduates of the class of 2024! Woo! It is an honor and a privilege to serve as your Convocation speaker this year. First and foremost, let me begin by congratulating all of you on reaching this milestone as graduates of the Rutgers School of Engineering, but also for your commitment to perseverance leading up to today. The theme for my remarks is the following: from the road less traveled to the road never traveled. And my subtitle is The Next Generation of Rutgers Engineering Trailblazers. From the road less traveled to the road never traveled. The next generation of Rutgers Engineering Trailblazers. Now, to begin, graduates, I'd like to ask you to take a moment and reflect on the years of your life leading up to today. In particular, the years when you were growing up. Yes, I want you to think back to preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, and then, of course, college. If you pause and think about it, it's a very unique sequence of events. Events that have left you with powerful images and memorable experiences that will last you a lifetime. Full of tosses and turns, highs and lows, ups and downs. Full of challenges. Think of your experiences here at Rutgers. Do you remember when you first started classes at Rutgers, which was likely virtual, under quarantine, sheltering in place, mask mandates, social distancing? Remember when you finally arrived on campus and it seemed like a completely new world to you? You probably felt like you were starting all over again. Remember hanging out in the dining hall or the student center, meeting new people, making new friends when perhaps you should have been studying. Remember the first A you received on your report card you could not wait to tell your parents. Okay, remember the first D or the first F that your parents didn't see and still haven't seen to this day. Oh, I got a shut on that. Do you remember your first football game or basketball game? Hopefully we won. Remember the professor whose class you absolutely loved, the exam you accidentally overslept, the computer program that you wrote that never worked and still doesn't work to this day. How about the expensive course materials that you never used? Somebody must remember this. I remember this. Does anybody remember where you got a 40 or a 50 or a 60 on a test, only to realize the class average was a 40 or a 50 or a 60, and that saved you? That exam gave you a full appreciation for grading on the curve. And then my last one, somebody has to remember this. Does anybody remember going to an event on campus, not for the event, not for the speaker, but for the free food? Yeah! There we go. Well, if you really take the time to reflect on the last 4 years it's taken you to complete your degree, or 5 years, or 6 years, hey, it doesn't matter how long you run the race. All that matters is that you finished the race, and today you finished the race. If you take the time to reflect on those years, you'll notice your experiences at Rutgers, much like your experiences in life, are very much like walking down a path or a road. Because just like a road, life has winds and twists and turns. It has potholes and obstacles and sometimes even dead ends. And even more to my remarks is that life, just like a road, often takes you places that very few people have been before, or it takes you places that no one has ever been before. I'm sure you all are familiar with the famous poem by Robert Frost, "Two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." Let me pose a question to the graduates, which I hope is a bit thought-provoking. What do you do when there is no road? What do you do when there is no path neatly laid out for you to follow? You see, the analogy of life as a road works very well when you are following in the footsteps of others. Because even the road less traveled implies somebody traveled that road before you. However, the analogy of life as a road completely breaks down when you realize that each of us in our own unique way is embarking on a new path with each passing day, venturing into uncharted territory. And while there may be points and places and moments and times where our paths cross and intersect and intertwine, at the end of the day, no two paths in life are alike. We are all, in some way, shape, or form, blazing new trails such that the road less traveled becomes the road never traveled. I'll use myself as an example. When I was growing up, I always did what my mom told me to do. Okay, most of the time, I did what my mom told me to do. Okay, I never did what my mom told me to do. When I got to Rutgers, I had to decide what it was that I wanted to do. I attended Rutgers on an academic and an athletic scholarship. I majored in electrical and computer engineering, eventually completed my degree with a 3.9 GPA, competed on the track and field team as a high jumper, long jumper, and sprinter, captain of the team, involved in various extracurriculars, the Minority Engineering Educational Task, Rutgers chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers, Cap and Skull. Fast forward to my senior year. Based on the recommendation of several faculty and staff at Rutgers, Professor Chris Rose, Professor Bill Mayo, Dean Seth Gopin, and the late, great Don Brown, I applied for the Rhodes Scholarship, having never heard of it. To my utter and complete surprise, I was selected as the first African American in the history of Rutgers to receive the Rhodes Scholarship. But it was at that point in time when I won the Rhodes that, figuratively speaking, the road beneath my feet came to an end, and the road less traveled became the road never traveled, because now I was venturing into uncharted territory, blazing a new trail. From Rutgers, I went to Oxford. From Oxford to MIT. From MIT, I became employee number 3 in the consulting firm I co-founded with 3 of my Rutgers classmates who are here today, and I'm going to ask them to stand up. I co-founded that company with Provost Jeffrey Robinson, stand, Lawrence Hibbert, stand, and Dallas Grundy, stand. I warned you. All right, y'all. All right. But it was when we became first-generation entrepreneurs at the ages of 21 and 20 that the road beneath our feet came to an end, and the road less traveled became the road never traveled, because now we were venturing into uncharted territory, blazing our own trails. And if you look down the list of notable alumni from Rutgers School of Engineering, I see a very similar progression. Ordinary people who have done extraordinary things, such as Mir Imran, born and raised in Hyderabad, India, moved to New Jersey, earned a BS in electrical engineering at Rutgers, founded more than 20 medical device companies, holds over 400 patents, and is best known for his role in developing the world's first implantable cardiac defibrillator. Ram Imran, a Rutgers engineering trailblazer. Tam Lam Silic, a refugee from Hong Kong who spent months in a detention camp, eventually matriculating to Rutgers, earned a BS in civil engineering, now vice president at WSP as a structural engineer. That's Tam Lam Silic, a Rutgers engineering trailblazer. Ukachi Anonyo, a native of Newark, New Jersey, studied industrial engineering at Rutgers, returned for her MBA. Today she is vice president of Global Packaging Innovation Strategy for the Estee Lauder Companies. Ukachi Anonyo, a Rutgers engineering trailblazer. And the list goes on. Even as I look to you, the class of 2024, I think about your classmates. Nicole Posada, mechanical engineer, recently recognized as Engineering Ambassador of the Year, member of the Executive Board for Society of Hispanic Engineers, co-president of the Colombian American Student Association. Yeah. Shout to Nicole. Megan Bino, graduating with an MS in Material Science and Engineering with 5 internships. Are you kidding me? Also a proud member of the School of Engineering Ambassador Program. Mukund Ramnakrishnan, electrical and computer engineering major, who has blended immersive research with captivating performances in the Livingston Theater Group and University Choir. And then lastly, Katie Lynch, who just spoke, biomedical engineer, indigenous scientist, health justice advocate, who served as a White House intern in the Office of Science and Technology Policy. These are your classmates, Rutgers engineering trailblazers. So I'm talking about men and women who studied in the same classrooms you studied in, walked the same campus that you walked, graduating with the same diploma you will receive, something that they must have had in common, that I believe is needed now more than ever before, was a faith and belief that they could achieve whatever their mind could conceive. Or stated differently, I have to believe that they possess what I call the mindset of a trailblazer. That they could believe that they could successfully venture into uncharted territory. They were not influenced by what they were told was not possible, but went out and showed the world what was possible. No restrictions to their vision, no restraints to their imagination, no limits to their possibilities. And if you think about that mindset that has the audacity to dream the impossible dream, to dare for the impossible path, to go for the impossible goal, if you think about that mindset, what it reminds me of is the way that we think when we are very young children. Because if you listen to young children and observe them closely, they give us tremendous insight to what we were like before we were influenced by the world. Think about it. You rarely hear a child say they hate somebody, or think less of something, or describe themselves as having a negative characteristic or trait. That language only emerges once they're influenced by adults like me. And perhaps most interestingly, you don't hear a child say what they're not good at or what they can't do well. They don't use that language. For example, you don't hear a child say, I'm not a math person, or the jungle gym's never been my thing, or the seesaw is kicking my butt. Like, children don't use that language. And that's why I find children fascinating, because they show us what the world was like before we were influenced by others telling us what we couldn't do, shouldn't do, and what's not possible. I once did a workshop with some elementary school students. I asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a little girl looked up at me and she said, I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, and a teacher because I want to help people. And do you know what I wanted to do in that moment, being the adult that I am? I wanted to tell that little girl, do you know how long you're going to be in school? To go to law school, med school, and education school? You'll be in school forever. And then I wanted to look down at her and say, do you know how much debt you're going to rack up? Going to school for that long, you'll be broke. But what I wanted to do was, I wanted to silence the voice from her childhood that told her she could do anything, be anything, and accomplish anything. So I just dropped by this School of Engineering graduation to encourage you graduates to tap into the mindset of a Rutgers engineering trailblazer that still lives within you, but is often stifled by the influences of this world. I want to encourage you to tap into the voice that was once oblivious and hopefully still is oblivious to realism and pragmatism and negativism and cynicism and pessimism and syllogism and all the other isms that might seek to suppress it. Because if you can tap into that voice, I believe you are tapping into your destiny. As Rutgers engineers, you represent the best and the brightest of the class of 2024. When it comes to success, you are about more, not less. You stay dressed to impress. You've got finesse to pass any engineering test. And when people bring distress and cause you stress, you do three things. First, look at that situation and assess. Second, develop a plan for what it is you must address. And then third, bring all of your Rutgers engineering zest to spark people's interest, to know that from a Rutgers engineer, to expect nothing less than the best. In fact, I know that you know that I know that nobody here knows the first thing about a hot mess. In fact, you're so bad, from this point forward, I'm changing all of your names to a symbol, like the artist Prince, that stands for success. That was bad, you must confess. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on. So let me close on this. Let me close on this. 3 quotes that deliver my message. Quote number 1, failure is one day meeting the man or woman you could have been. Quote number 2, it isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It is not a disgrace to not reach for the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. Not failure, but low aim is sin. Quote number 3, you are never old until your regrets outnumber your dreams. So as I go to my seat, I will go back to the question I posed to you at the beginning of my remarks. Robert Frost wrote that 2 roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. But what do you do when there is no road? What do you do when there's no path neatly laid out to follow? If in order to be a trailblazer, and you are trailblazers, the road less traveled must become the road never traveled, then what do you do? The answer, which I heard from a few of you, is the road is made as one walks. The road is made as one walks. Honoring the life and legacy of those Rutgers engineering trailblazers who came before us means remembering that just as they walked along their path and did great things, you will walk along your path and you will do great things. But if you put any other trailblazer too high on the pedestal, allow their accomplishments to somehow be unattainable or unachievable, then not only do you do a disservice to their lives and their legacies, but you undermine your own ability as ordinary people to do extraordinary things. We therefore look to you, class of 2024, as symbols of hope and symbols of progress, as the next generation of Rutgers engineering trailblazers who will not be influenced by the world, but will influence the world. To implement positive changes at Rutgers, you have served to instigate. Academically, you've performed at the highest levels to initiate. When the opportunity has given itself to be leaders, you've stepped up to coordinate. And when someone has tried to hold you back, you have found the strength you need to generate. But let's be clear, you don't play or hate. You don't move fake. You don't value forsake, and you don't troublemaker. But rather, when it comes to trends, you originate. When it comes to determination, you activate. When amongst your peers, you rejuvenate. When it comes to getting this degree, do not procrastinate. And as we are all here, family, friends, and loved ones to cheer you on as we so proudly celebrate, because today, after years of hard work and dedication and perseverance, you graduate. God bless you. Thank you. Congratulations, class of 2024.